Good afternoon, Patriots. This is Praying Medic, and this is my QAnon broadcast for Monday, July 20th. Welcome to the broadcast. Those of you who are following along at home, doing your own decodes, you can find Q posts on a number of different websites, including qanon.pub and qalerts.app. If you'd like to get notifications when Q is posting and you have an Android device, you can get either the Q Alerts app or the Q Map app off of their websites. They're not available in the Play Store. You have to install them manually. If you are looking for some information on Q, you might want to check out my book, Calm Before the Storm. It is the first volume in the Q Chronicles. I have 17 chapters on various subjects that Q has covered in his operation, including game theory. There's a chapter on General Flynn, a chapter on Admiral Rogers and the NSA. There is a chapter on Barack Obama and the sneaky little things he put into the Iran deal. There is also a glossary at the back of the book that has over 500 terms, abbreviations, acronyms, names, and symbols that Q uses that you may not be familiar with. The book Calm Before the Storm is available both on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. My theme for this broadcast is Batten down the hatches. What does it say in Scotland? Batten down the hatches, laddie. All right. Q reposted a link to yesterday's thread by Catherine Herridge on problems with the FBI's surveillance of Carter Page. This was a thread that Q posted the previous day, and it's in my previous video. And then Q wrote, "Sunlight kills V2Q." I suspect that this thread is being highlighted again a second time to bring more sunlight to this matter, because light gets rid of darkness. So this is the little thread here. Catherine Herridge wrote, "FISA newly declassified records from Lindsey Graham show that the system, the FBI's system, was blinking red over Christopher Steele's dossier in early 2017, but it was used twice more to renew the surveillance warrant against Carter Page. In his December report, Inspector General Horowitz wrote that the dossier's source made statements that were inconsistent with multiple sections of Christopher Steele's reports, including some that were relied upon by the FISA applications. Then, just before the final FISA in June of 2017, FBI lawyer apparently blew through another stop sign when he altered an email to omit Carter Page's prior relationship with the U.S. Intel Agency. That was Kevin Kleinsmith. He's an FBI attorney, and he received an email saying that Carter Page had been working with the CIA as a source, and Kleinsmith changed the wording of the email to say that he had not been. And then we have this last tweet revealing that relationship would have likely gone a long way to explain Carter Page's Russia contacts because he was a CIA source. Inspector General Horowitz found the dossier played an essential role in the FBI's decision to surveil Carter Page, at what level, and who made the call to blow through these warnings. Reread Horowitz 11 and 6. All right, we have these pens, the pen here and pen there, and kind of talked about this yesterday. So Q then posted a link to a short thread by Technofog and also wrote, "Sunlight kills V2Q." I'll get to V2 in just a minute. So Technofog had this thread. Flying under the radar, Jennifer Boone, the FBI official who oversaw FISA, the improper use of Bruce Orr as a Steele intermediary, and she also oversaw the FBI's interview of Steele's primary subsource. She was promoted by Chris Wray after the FBI learned of FISA issues. So here's an announcement on the FBI website that she was named Special Agent in charge of the Baltimore field office. She was formerly Special Agent in charge of LA field office. And then Technofog goes on here, and I'll just summarize this. Jennifer Boone was warned of red flags about having an FBI agent meet with Bruce Orr. The concern was Orr's connections to Christopher Steele. She directed the FBI agent, this was SSA 3, to meet with Bruce Orr despite the concerns that Orr was connected to Steele. And it's not as if Boone can claim that she was ignorant, because she supervised the team that was tasked with determining the sources of information contained in Steele's dossier. So she knew what was going on. She knew about Bruce Horn. She knew about Chris Steele. So that person got promoted by Chris Wray. Then last night, Q posted a screenshot of an image that is said to be taken from the control console of Twitter for administrators. This came out when Twitter was hacked last week. So Q posted a screen cap of that image and wrote news socials equals propaganda. So the news media and social media, mainstream, equals propaganda. News and socials equals bias. News and socials equals political tool. News and socials equals weapon. News and socials equals camouflage. We are one of many vehicles traveling on the information superhighway. The choice of information has always been yours. Free thought is a philosophical viewpoint which holds that positions regarding truth should be formed on the basis of logic, reason, and empiricism, rather than authority, tradition, revelation, or dogma, information warfare. And if you're curious about that little image there, you have some accounts that are permanently suspended, some are just suspended, some are bounced, and then you have protected accounts. And over here on the right side, you've got bounced, inactive, protected, and then you've got compromised, trends blacklist, search blacklist, and read-only. That hack supposedly hit 130 blue checkmark accounts, verified accounts, and a number of those people had their personal data downloaded and their direct messages downloaded. So Twitter is still trying to do damage control from that. Q posted this, domestic in brackets, how many Republican 2016 candidates were illegally surveilled? This would be by the Obama administration. How many journalists were illegally surveilled? How many House members were illegally surveilled? How many Senate members were illegally surveilled? Upstream collection, umbrella in brackets, 702, non-702, Five Eyes, non-Five Eyes, spy insert, campaigns 1 and 2, renegade, a person who deserts and betrays an organization, country, or set of principles. We have some synonyms here. Defector, deserter, turncoat, betrayer, rebel, mutineer, quisling, fifth columnist, renegado, and tergiversator. Q. All right, so Q talked a little bit about 702 and non-702 surveillance. So why don't we just cover that real quickly? For those of you who don't know much about FISA surveillance, there are two basic kinds of surveillance that the government uses to get information on people. Title III is one type, and that is used to get information and surveil U.S. citizens. Title III comes from Title III of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968. It's the Wiretap Act. In order for a law enforcement agency or an intelligence agency to surveil a U.S. citizen, they have to have a probable cause and they have to have a warrant signed by a judge, right? So there's all kinds of restrictions on how U.S. citizens are surveilled. Okay. Now, if we're talking about a foreign citizen, foreign citizens are not covered by the same constitutional rights that U.S. citizens are. So FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act that covers surveillance of non-U.S. citizens. There are some cases when U.S. citizens are actually surveilled under FISA. So FISA has a couple of different sections to it. FISA Title I is the electronic surveillance of persons within the United States. And this could be U.S. citizens or non-U.S. citizens. Okay, so that's FISA Title I. FISA Title III involves physical searches of premises or property within the U.S. FISA Title VII is synonymous with FISA Section 702. They essentially mean the same thing. That involves the surveillance of foreign persons outside the United States. And like I said, those two are synonymous. Then what Q is getting at is that some people are surveilled by the government under Section 702, and some are surveilled under non-702, which would be either FISA Title I, which is electronic surveillance within the states, or by just regular Section 3 of the Omnibus Wiretap Act, which is for U.S. citizens inside. All right, I'm not going to belabor the point there. Let me talk about Five Eyes. Five Eyes is an agreement between the U.S., the U.K., Canada, Australia, and New Zealand that allows intelligence agencies to share information between the countries and agencies. Interesting thing about Five Eyes surveillance is if a United States intelligence agency is surveilling a British citizen, our local domestic surveillance laws do not preclude that type of surveillance from happening. And the U.S. intelligence agency could give the British government information, and it would not be a violation of our surveillance laws. And that's the problem that we get into with Five Eyes surveillance is all of these nations are spying on each other's citizens, and they can exchange information as a way to get around domestic surveillance laws. It would be illegal for the British government to spy on their own citizens without a warrant, but if CIA or NSA gave them the information, they're effectively going around the laws. Q had previously indicated that a number of people were planted inside the 2016 Trump campaign. So this is from April of 2018. Massive intel sweep. Manafort was a plant. Trace background. Open source. Who was arrested? Trace background. Open source. Carter Page was a plant. Trace background. Open source. Why is Mueller going after inside plants? Flynn is safe. Define a witness. Can a witness hold a position of power or influence while ongoing? All right, so the problem with this post is it had some disinformation. Q was suggesting that Mueller was actually secretly working with Trump to take down some bad actors. Now, we know that's not true. And if you read mainstream media reports on Q, they always bring up the fact that Q suggested that Mueller might be working with Trump. That was clearly disinformation. I knew it was disinformation at the time. Actually, most of us did. But the mainstream media likes to hammer that point, that Q suggests that Mueller was secretly working with Trump. Because that post included some disinformation, what I don't know is if the disinformation involved Manafort and Carter Page. Were they really planted inside the Trump campaign? I don't know. Don't know how much of this is disinformation and how much of it is real. So Q yesterday did confirm that there were people inserted inside the campaign as spies, 1 and 2. Right? So Q is still saying that there are people who were inserted. Best information we have is that they were Carter Page and Paul Manafort. There are other suspects, but that's kind of just to cover that subject. Last night, Q posted the video of the C-130 gunship with the laser pointer painting the target. We've seen this before. I think this is the 5th or 6th time Q has posted this, and said, "Batten down the hatches," Q. Well, that is a naval term. If you're on a ship and you're at sea and there's a storm, there are hatches that have to be closed so that the boat doesn't sink. So batten down the hatches is an old naval term. Just close the hatches, lock them up, and get ready for the storm. So apparently the storm is coming. This is a little bit of that video. Okay, you get the idea. Whenever Q posts that, that is I think we're taking that as an indicator that the hammer is about to be dropped. Now, last night, Q posted a picture of Chris Wray, and file name is Chris Wray. Q has indicated previously that Chris Wray was a sleeper who was actually working with the deep state, and he appeared to be working with President Trump, but in fact, he had other allegiances. So an anon took that photo, put a red cross through it, similar to the picture we saw with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein where their X's were through their faces. And then Q reposted that. So that is an indication, at least to me, that Chris Wray is probably on his way out and he'll be replaced at some point. Now, this is where we get to version 2. So last night, right after that post with Chris Wray indicating that he's going to be leaving pretty soon, Q posted this, 3 asterisks or 3 stars. Are you ready to serve once again, Q? All right. Q has used this previously to signal to General Flynn, 3-star general. So asking if he's ready to serve, and then a few minutes later, look at the times here. This was posted at 6 minutes after 8 my time, and this was posted at 24 minutes after 8, so difference of 18 minutes. Q wrote, acknowledged, God bless America, Q. Then Patriot Dancing caught General Flynn's acknowledgement of this post. Apparently, General Flynn changed his banner last night. So Q posts asking, are you ready to serve once again? Flynn changes his banner to God bless America. Q then responds, acknowledge, God bless America. And this is General Flynn's new banner. Q posted a link to Patriot Dancing's tweet and said, Anons, take note, you have a rival, Q. All right, so there's General Flynn's new banner. Now, an Anon posted this on the board last night. He went into General Flynn's Twitter page and noted that it was modified at 11:42 p.m. Now that would be East Coast time. Flynn uploads his header at 11:42. I do not know the extent of information you can get off of the Twitter page. I am not a web designer and I don't have that much technical knowledge, so I'm just posting the information. And then Q responded with this, General Flynn, real American hero. And that is Q's last post. Now I have some thoughts on this. There's a lot of discussion going on about whether Q is indicating that General Flynn is going to replace Chris Wray at FBI. There's been a lot of speculation about this for quite a while, and I have always thought that was just a crazy idea. I just can't see how a retired Army general would be named FBI director. It just seems laughable to me. It always has. But I got to thinking about it this morning, and maybe it's not such a crazy idea. As far as I know, General Flynn is not an attorney, and he has no formal law enforcement background. So on the face of it, appointing a career Army officer into an administrative law enforcement position doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just doesn't seem like it would be a good fit. However, when you consider the fact that the FBI director has duties that are similar to the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, maybe it does make sense. General Flynn was the director of the DIA until 2014 when he was forced out by Obama. The FBI director is primarily a personnel manager. While they could get involved personally in investigations, they're mostly there to lead the Bureau's agents, inspire them, oversee budgeting, training, equipment acquisitions, developing policies, and performing other administrative functions. Right? So a director of an agency like that is primarily administrator. Those tasks don't necessarily require a law enforcement background. They do require experience in personnel management. And as the former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, I would think that General Flynn would have the administrative experience needed to perform those tasks. Plus, consider the fact that both the Defense Intelligence Agency and the FBI are intelligence agencies. So General Flynn has a vast background in the intelligence community. He's worked his entire career in military intelligence. Then he worked his way up to director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Okay, FBI, although it does law enforcement, it is considered an intelligence agency. Does a lot of surveillance, does a lot of sharing of intelligence information. Right? So in that respect, Flynn has a pretty good skill set to match the job requirements of the director of the FBI. It would give him an advantage over somebody else who might only have experience as a federal prosecutor or maybe private law practice. Actually, Chris Wray came out of private law practice. So did Attorney General William Barr, actually, although he was previously the Attorney General. The fact that Q publicly named Chris Wray as a deep state asset last night, and at the same time asked General Flynn if he was ready to serve again, makes me think that maybe their mention on the same night was intended to create a future proves past connection. Also consider the fact that the FBI has been plagued for years by abuse of the FISA process, and one of their victims was General Flynn. Some people have said that we don't know for sure that General Flynn was actually surveilled under FISA. Well, there are a number of news reports that have been out for a couple of years saying that Flynn, Manafort, Page, and Papadopoulos were all under FISA surveillance. So the question is, how do you think that Flynn would manage the Bureau's FISA program if he became the director? They may not have a FISA program if General Flynn became the director. Now, something else to think about. In March of 2018, Q said that General Flynn would be cleared of all charges and that he would rejoin the Trump administration in its second version, V2. Here's the post. How bad is the corruption? FBI, past, present. Director, 2 directors, number 1 spots, director of FBI, Mueller and Comey. Number 2 position, deputy director, that was Andrew McCabe, plus 29 others, 16 in parentheses. DOJ, past and present. 2 directors, DOJ, past and present. 2 people who previously served as Attorney General and a Deputy Attorney General, plus 18 others. State Department, past and present, right? So we have all these numbers of people that were found to be corrupt. And then Q writes, Flynn targeted. Why? Who knows where the bodies are buried? Cleared of all charges. Trump administration version 2. Right? This was March 18th of 2018. So Q has been telling us for more than 2 years that General Flynn's going to be cleared of all charges and he's going to rejoin the Trump administration in version 2 now. Yesterday, Q posted V2 3 times. It was in 3 different posts. It was in the one, Wray is a sleeper. Q said, swamp runs deep. V2, change we can believe in. And then the sunlight kills, both of those 2 posts, the Technofog tweet and the Catherine Herridge thread, both had V2 in them. So Q's mention of V2, along with his mention of it back here in March of 2018 with General Flynn, V2, Trump administration, leads me to believe that we're getting close to the time when the Trump administration version 2 is going to be launched, and I suspect that maybe General Flynn is going to be taking a position, and it would not surprise me anymore if he was actually named as Chris Wray's replacement. Like I said, on the face of it, it doesn't make any sense, but General Flynn is a leader. I'm sure he's a good personnel manager. I'm not making a prediction, I'm just saying that it's a possibility. And that gets us caught up to Q for today. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, you might want to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for sharing this on social media. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, the link to my Patreon page is in the description box. If you'd like to pick up my book, Calm Before the Storm, there is also a link to that in the description box. Please keep me and Denise in prayer. Keep Q and the team in prayer. Keep the President in prayer. Keep the military and the Secret Service in prayer. Keep General Flynn in prayer. Love you all. Take care. I will catch you on the next broadcast.